Lesson 1. Religious Education and the Buddha's Teaching. Paragraph 1. A bird needs 2 wings in order to fly. If it possesses only 1 wing, it must remain on the ground and can never experience the joy of soaring. We also need 2 wings, which may be called the wings of education. 1 wing is secular education, and the other is religious education. Without these 2 wings, we cannot hope to soar into the fields of knowledge because we have little or no spiritual training. Religious education is necessary, for it teaches us how to think and act in order to be good and happy. It helps us to understand the meaning of life and to adjust ourselves to its laws. True religion means living the best and highest life, getting the most out of life, which makes a person light-hearted and joyful all the time. This is the sort of religion which the Buddha taught. It is true that we must attend classes in order to study his teachings, but the principal thing is to live them in our daily life. The Buddha teaches his followers to do good, to make the best use of life, and tells them that his path leads to true happiness in this world and hereafter. Who was the Buddha? There are many legends about the Buddha, but the Buddha was so great that he had no need of legends to make him appear greater. He was the wisest teacher the world has ever seen, and his teachings, given to men over 2,500 years, are still helpful to us today. He did not claim to be God, nor was he any divine messenger. He clearly told us that if we listen carefully to his teaching and walk in his path, we can achieve for ourselves what he did for himself. Buddhism is truly a message of peace and happiness for everyone. Many of our brothers and sisters in the West are taking refuge in the great Master who has guided the East for so many centuries. Adapted from Ernst Hunt, The Buddha and His Teachings. Dhammapada, verse 183. Not to do evil, to perform good, to purify one's mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. Lesson 2. The Buddha's birth and his childhood. Paragraph 1. Over 2,500 years ago, the Sakyas were a proud clan of the Khatyas, the warrior caste, living on the foothills of the Himalaya in modern Nepal. They were ruled by a wise and powerful king called Suddhodana, who founded his capital at Kapilavatthu. His wife was Queen Maya, daughter of the Kolyas. So far, they were childless and were longing for a son to complete their royal happiness. One day, the queen realized that she would become a mother. According to their custom, she asked the king's permission to return to her parents' home in another city, Devadaha, for the childbirth. Midway, the queen desired to rest for a while in Lumbini Park, a wonderful garden where flowers filled the air with their sweet odor, while swarms of bees and butterflies were flying around, and birds of every color were singing as if they were getting ready to welcome the queen. As she was standing under a flowering sala tree and catching hold of a branch in full bloom, she gave birth to a prince who would later become Buddha Gautama, the enlightened one, the great master of gods and men. All expressed their delight to the queen and her noble baby prince. Heaven and earth rejoiced at the marvels. The memorable day was the full moon day of Vesak, May, in 623 BC, according to the inscription at Buddha Gaya. On the naming ceremony, many learned Brahmins were invited to the palace. A wise hermit, Asita, told the king that two ways would open before the prince. He would either become a universal ruler, or he would leave the world and become a Buddha. The sage named the baby Siddhartha, which means the one whose wish is fulfilled, or wish fulfilled. At first, the king was pleased to hear this, but he was later worried about the statement that the prince would renounce the world and become a homeless hermit. In the royal palace, however, delight was followed quickly by sorrow. For 7 days after the childbirth, Queen Maya suddenly died. Her younger sister, Payapati Gautami, the second queen, became the prince's devoted foster mother, who brought him up with loving care. The little prince grew up to be a lovely character in spite of every luxury around him. He was kind, gentle, pure, and very intelligent. He received an excellent education as a crown prince of the warrior caste. His education consisted not only of all the knowledge for the wise, including the 4 Vedas, but also of all arts of warfare. The young prince amazed all his teachers because of his intelligence. He learnt everything in a very short time. To sum up, he was quite healthy, kind-hearted, and skillful, but at the same time he was very thoughtful. Adapted from G.P. Malasekera, The Buddha and His Teachings. Dhammapada, verse 194. Pleasant is the birth of the Buddha. Pleasant is the preaching of the Dhamma. Pleasant is peace and unity in the Sangha. The devotion of those who live in harmony is pleasant. Lesson 3. Prince Siddhartha's youth and his married life. Paragraph 1. A wonderful thing took place at a plowing festival in his childhood. It was an early spiritual experience which, later in his search for truth, served as a key to his enlightenment. Once, on a spring plowing ceremony, the king took the prince to the field and placed him under the shade of a rose apple tree, where he was watched by his nurses. Because the king himself took part in the plowing, the prince looked at his father driving a golden plow together with other nobles. But he also saw the oxen dragging their heavy yokes, and many farmers sweating at their work. While the nurses ran away to join the crowd, he was left alone in the quiet. Though he was young in years, he was old in wisdom. He thought so deeply over the sight that he forgot everything around and developed a state of meditation, to the great surprise of the nurses and his father. The king felt great pride in his son, but all the time he recalled the hermit's prophecy. Then he surrounded him with all pleasures and amusements and young playmates, carefully keeping away from him all knowledge of pain, sadness, and death. When the prince was 16 years old, the king arranged for his son's marriage. According to their custom, a prince who desired to get married had to prove his strength and courage. Then the king invited other princes and nobles to meet his son in many contests, and Prince Siddhartha won victory in all of them. Among the beautiful ladies who attended the ceremony, he finally chose the fairest one, the country's beauty, his beautiful cousin, as his bride. She was Princess Yasodhara, daughter of King Supabuddha, a brother of the late Queen Maya of the Kolyas. The king was pleased to see that if his son had home ties, such as a wife and children, he would not leave them, and then he would become a great king. The royal couple led a happy life in 3 palaces built for them, one for the hot season, one for the cold season, and one for the rainy season. Around the palaces were parks of flowers, groves with fountains, and especially lotus ponds. For nearly 13 years, they spent their prime of youth in these palaces, enjoying all worldly pleasures among skillful musicians, attractive dancing girls, and a variety of delicious food. But the prince was never allowed to go out to see the world outside. The poor, the sick, and the aged were kept away from his sight, and no one was allowed to talk anything sad before him. As time passed, however, the prince's thoughts returned to the problem of suffering. He had no sorrow of his own, but he felt pity for mankind, and he tried to understand the true meaning of human life. Adapted from Narada Mahathera. Dhammapada, verse 171. Come, behold this world. It is like a gaudy royal chariot, in which many fools sink down, but the wise have no attachment for it. Dhammapada, verse 336. He who lives in the world overcomes this base craving, from his sorrows fall away, like water drops from a lotus leaf. Lesson 4. Great Renunciation and Enlightenment, Nibbana. Paragraph 1. Soon the prince became bored of all royal amusements, and he was in search of mental peace. One day he desired to make a journey around the city. Necessary arrangements and decorations were made by order of the king so that the prince might be delighted. But on the very first day, he happened on an old man walking weakly. On the second day, he saw a sick man crying pitifully. And on the third day, a dead person carried by his relatives. The prince was deeply shocked by the fearful sights of old age, sickness, and death. His noble mind was terribly troubled by realizing that no one could escape those pains and sorrows. He returned to the palace with his heart full of sadness. On the fourth day, however, he was satisfied at the sight of a holy hermit with a bright and peaceful look. He kept on thinking that in spite of the royal comforts and his good health, he would someday suffer from sickness, old age, and death. He felt compassionate for all human beings who had to face these everlasting problems, and he decided to find a way out. His love of truth proved stronger than his affection for his family. Then, on a full moon day, at midnight, he left his kingdom and renounced the world. Thus, he became an ascetic in search of truth at the age of 29. It was called the Great Renunciation in 594 BC. The ascetic Gautama wandered around the valley of the Ganges, at first approaching famous teachers Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta, and following their teachings. But their methods did not lead to super knowledge, awakening, so he turned away from them. Next, he joined a group of 5 ascetics and practiced the most severe ways of life for 6 years. Because he gave up food, he grew thinner and thinner, and his body lost all its strength. He underwent too much suffering, but still he did not reach his goal. Then he gave up these extremes and followed a middle path. To restore his health, he accepted the milky rice offered by a young lady called Suyata, and then he sat cross-legged under the big Bodhi tree, the tree of enlightenment. He decided not to rise from his meditation until he gained wisdom. The Bodhisattva was so resolute in his great struggle for Buddhahood that no Mara nor the evil forces could break through his calm concentration. Finally, at midnight, he achieved the threefold knowledge: the knowledge of his own former births, the knowledge of other beings passing away and arising, and the knowledge of the total destruction of all impurities. He attained the freedom of mind and the freedom of wisdom and became the Buddha, the fully awakened one, the conqueror of the battle, who opened the door of deathlessness to all living beings, Nibbana. Adapted from Narada, Mahathera, and Mala Lacerkera. Dhammapada verses 153 to 154. Through many births I have wandered in the samsara round, seeking but not finding the builder of the house. Painful is birth again and again. O house builder, I have seen you. You shall build no house again. All your rafters are broken, and your ridgepole is shattered. The mind at rest in Nibbana has attained the destruction of cravings. Lesson 5. The Brahma's Appeal to the Buddha. Abridged. Paragraph 1. On one occasion, soon after his enlightenment, as the Buddha was deep in meditation under the Ayapala banyan tree, the following thought occurred to him: this Dhamma, which I have realized, is profound, difficult to see, difficult to comprehend, calm, exalted, beyond logic, subtle, understood only by the wise. But these beings are attached to sensual pleasures and delighted by sensual pleasures. This dependent arising is a subject which is hard to see. And this too is a matter hard to understand. That is, the calming of all the activities, the renunciation of all attachment, the destruction of craving, dispassion, stopping, nibbana. If I were to teach this Dhamma, the others would not understand me. That would be a weariness to me. As the Buddha reflected thus, his mind was not inclined to teach the Dhamma. Then Brahma Sahampati read the thought of the Buddha, and fearing that the world might be destroyed without hearing the Dhamma, approached him and requested him to preach the Dhamma. O Lord, may the Lord teach the Dhamma. May the well-farer expound the Dhamma. There are beings with little dust in their eyes, who not hearing the Dhamma will fall away. But if they are learners of the Dhamma, they will understand the Dhamma. Further, he spoke in verse. In ancient times in Magadha, there has appeared an impure Dhamma thought out by stained minds. Open this door of deathlessness. Let them hear the Dhamma, awakened too by the stainless one. Just as a man standing on the peak of a mountain might watch the people around, even so, O seer of all, O fair wisdom, ascending the palace of Dhamma, may the sorrowless one look down upon the people who are sunken in grief and overcome by birth and age. Rise, O hero, conqueror in the battle, leader of the caravan. Freed from debt, walk over the world. Let the exalted one teach the Dhamma. There are those who will understand the Dhamma. And when the Brahma appealed to the Buddha for the third time, the Buddha, out of compassion for beings, surveyed the world with his Buddha vision. He saw beings with little dust in their eyes, with much dust in their eyes, with keen intellect and with dull intellect, with good character and with bad character, beings who are easy to teach and hard to teach, and few others who, with fear, see evil and the world beyond. As in a pond of blue, red, or white lotuses, some lotuses are born in the water, grow in the water, do not rise above the water, but thrive under the water. Some are born in the water, grow in the water, and reach the surface of the water. Others are born in the water, grow in the water, and stand rising out of the water, unstained by the water. Even so, in the world, he saw beings with little dust in their eyes, see evil and the world beyond, the same as above. Then he addressed the Brahma in verse. Opened are the doors of the deathless state. Let those who hear give forth their confidence. Thinking of weariness, O Brahma, I did not teach this sublime and excellent Dhamma for men. And the Brahma, thinking that he himself made the opportunity for the Lord to preach the Dhamma, saluted him, and passing around him to the right, disappeared then and there. Excerpt from Majjhima Nikaya, number 26. Dhammapada, verse 182. Hard is the attaining of birth as a man. Hard is the life of human beings. Hard is the hearing of the sublime Dhamma. Hard is the appearance of the Buddhas. Anguttara Nikaya 2. As a lotus, fair and lovely, by the water is not stained, by the world am I not stained. Therefore, Brahman am I a Buddha. Lesson 6. The teaching of the Dhamma, the turning of the Dhamma wheel. Paragraph 1. 2 months after his enlightenment, the Buddha gave his first discourse entitled The Turning of the Dhamma Wheel to the 5 ascetics, the Kondanas, his old companions at the deer park in Isipatana near Benares. In this discourse, the Buddha said, avoiding the 2 extremes of indulgence in sense pleasures and self-mortification, the Tathagata has comprehended the middle path which leads to calm, wisdom, enlightenment, nibbana. This is the very noble eightfold path, namely, right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Next, he taught them the 4 noble truths: suffering, dukkha; the cause of suffering, samudaya; the ceasing of suffering, nirodha; and the path leading to the ceasing of suffering, magga. The Venerable Kondana understood the Dhamma, and the stainless, dustless Dhamma vision arose in him. Thus, all that is subject to arising is subject to passing away. He became a Sotapanna, and the 5 ascetics asked the Buddha to receive them into his order. It was through the second sermon on the no-self quality that all of them attained arahatanship. Later, the Buddha taught the Dhamma to Yasa, a rich young man in Benares, and his 54 companions, who all became arahants. With the first 60 arahant disciples in the world, the Buddha founded his Sangha, and he said to them, I am freed from all fetters, both human and divine. You are also freed from all fetters. Go forth, O bhikkhus, for the welfare of many, for the happiness of many, out of compassion for the world, for the good and welfare and happiness of gods and men. Preach the Dhamma, perfect in the beginning, perfect in the middle, perfect in the end, both in the spirit and in the letter. Proclaim the holy life in all its fullness and purity. With these words, he sent them into the world. He himself set out for Uruvela, where he received 30 young nobles into the order and converted the 3 brothers Kassapa, who were soon established in arahantship by means of the discourse on fire. Then the Buddha went to Rahagaha to visit King Bimbisara. The king, on listening to the Dhamma, together with his attendants, obtained the fruit of the first path, and formally offered the Buddha his bamboo grove, Beluvana, where the Buddha and the Sangha took up their residence for a long time. There, the 2 chief disciples, Sariputta and Moggallana, were received into the order. Next, the Buddha went to Kapilavatthu and received into the order his own son Rahula and his half-brother Nanda. From his native land he returned to Rahagaha and converted the rich banker Anathapindika, who presented him the Jeta Grove, Jetavana. For 45 years, the Buddha traveled up and down the valley of the Ganges, throughout the kingdoms of Magadha and Kosala, northeast of India, teaching the Dhamma to all classes of men and women, kings and queens, nobles and Brahmins, merchants and workers, outcasts and beggars, without making any distinction between them. He did not recognize the social castes in ancient India, and the way he taught was open to all those who were willing to hear. He exhorted his disciples to tread the path themselves, for the Tathagatas are only teachers. Adapted from Narada Mahathera and W. Rahula. Dhammapada, verse 273. The best of paths is the Eightfold Path. The best of truths are the Four Sayings. Non-attachment is the best of states. The best of bipeds is the Seeing One. Dhammapada, verse 276. You must make an effort. The Tathagatas are only teachers. The meditative ones who practice the way are freed from the bonds of Mara.
Lesson 7. The Teaching of the Dhamma, the Conversion of Some Famous Disciples. Part 1. The Conversion of the Three Brothers Kassapa. The three brothers Kassapa were fire-worshipping ascetics, each of whom lived separately with a great assembly. The Buddha first tamed the eldest brother, Uruvela Kassapa, in his fire chamber, and then his brothers, following his example, asked the Buddha for ordination together with their pupils. It was thanks to the Discourse on Fire that those newly ordained monks attained sainthood, arahantship. Part 2. The Discourse on Fire. Paragraph 1. Thus have I heard, the Blessed One was once staying at Gayasisa with 1,000 bhikkhus. There he addressed the bhikkhus. O bhikkhus, all is on fire. And what all is on fire? Paragraph 2. The eye, O bhikkhus, is on fire. Forms are on fire. Eye consciousness is on fire. Eye contact is on fire. Feeling which is pleasant or painful, or neither pleasant nor painful, arising from eye contact is on fire. With what is it burning? Burning with the fire of lust, the fire of hate, ignorance, birth, decay, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. So I declare. The ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind is on fire. Paragraph 3. Seeing thus, O bhikkhus, a well-taught Aryani disciple gets disgusted with the eye, forms, eye consciousness, eye contact, feeling. He gets disgusted with the ear, sounds, ear consciousness, ear contact, the nose, odors, nose consciousness, nose contact, the body, tactile objects, body consciousness, body contact, the mind, mental objects, mind consciousness, mind contact, and any feeling that arises. Paragraph 4. With disgust, he gets detached. With detachment, he is liberated. When he is liberated, there is knowledge that he is liberated, and he understands birth is destroyed, The holy life is lived. What should be done is done. There's no more of that state again. Paragraph 5. Thus spoke the Blessed One. The Bhikkhus were pleased at the words of the Blessed One and welcomed them. When the Blessed One concluded his sermon, the hearts of the 1,000 bhikkhus were liberated from defilements, without any attachments, and they all became arahants. Dhammapada, verse 190. Whoever seeks refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, who sees with right knowledge the Four Noble Truths. Dhammapada, verse 191. Suffering, the cause of suffering, the escape from suffering, and the Noble Eightfold Path, which leads to the end of suffering. Dhammapada, verse 192. This indeed is sure refuge. This indeed is supreme refuge. By reaching such refuge, one is released from all sorrow. Dhammapada, verse 202. There is no fire like the fire of lust, no crime like hate. There is no ill like the body, no bliss higher than the peace. Pronunciation, word stress, and sound columns. 1. Grief, release. 2. Ignorance, liberate. Number 3. Pleasant, lament, assembly, metaphor. Number 4. Tactile, detached, comparison. Number 5. Contact, consciousness. Number 6. Organs. Number 7. Conclude, conclusion. Number 8. Lust, touch, tongue, disgust. Number 9. Worship, internal. Number 10. Decay, flavor, lamentation. Number 11. Odor. Number 12. Fire, crime, decide. Number 13. Despair, declare. Number 14. Consciousness, conversion. Number 15. Conclusion, decision. Vocabulary, words and expressions. The conversion, the taming. The 3 brothers Kassapa, the 3 ascetics who worship fire, Uruvela Kassapa, Nadi Kassapa, and Gaya Kassapa. Ask for ordination, ask for going forth. Ordain someone. Make someone a monk or nun, admit or receive someone into the order. Be ordained, to be admitted or received into the order, become a monk or nun. The Discourse on Fire, Adittapariyaya Sutta. The 3rd discourse given by the Buddha to the 3 brothers Kassapa and their assemblies near Uruvela. The metaphor fire is suitable for their former fire worship. A metaphor, a figure of speech, a comparison without like or as. Example, he roars the lion's roar and turns the Brahma wheel. All is burning with the fire of lust, anger, ignorance. The world is on fire. All, sabam, the world, loka. 6 sense organs or 6 faculties. 6 internal sense bases, the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. 6 sense objects. In the outside world, or 6 external sense bases, forms or shapes, sounds, odors or smells, tastes or flavors, tactile objects, and mental objects, like ideas, thoughts. Contact, the sense of touch. Example, eye contact, ear contact, nose contact. Fivefold sense pleasures. Panca kamaguna, always five. Pleasures enjoyed by means of five senses. All worldly pleasures, forms, sounds, odors, tastes, and tactile objects in the world of sensual desires, ka maloka. Eye contact, the contact of the eye with an object. Eye consciousness, awareness arising from eye contact. There are 6 kinds of consciousness, and consciousness is named according to the condition from which it arises. From eye contact arises eye consciousness. From ear contact arises ear consciousness. Be on fire, be burning. The triple world is on fire. The world, loka. Here, the body, dukkha. Within this fathom-long body itself, I declare the world, the arising of the world, the cessation of the world, and the path leading to the cessation of the world. Decay, becoming weaker, losing strength in old age. Lament for, over someone or something. Express or feel great sorrow for someone, something. Example, a dead friend, one's fate, bad luck. Lament or lamentation, expression of great sorrow. Grief over or for someone or something. Great sorrow for the same loss or death. To grieve over for someone, something. Despair, feeling or state of losing all hope. A well-taught Aryan disciple, a well-learned, noble disciple. It's not equal to an untaught common man, an unlearned, worldly, or ordinary man. Become or get disgusted with something. Have a strong dislike for something. Disgust, strong dislike for something. Liberate from something. Free someone from something. Be liberated from. Be liberated from something. Liberation, freedom. There is knowledge that he is liberated. There's knowledge of his liberation. Birth is destroyed. Birth is ended. The holy life is lived. The Brahma faring is completed. What should be done is done. The duty or task is done. There is no more of this state again. There is no more of becoming such or such. There is no more rebirth. Conclude something. End something. Conclusion. At the conclusion of something. At the end of something. Don't jump to a conclusion. Don't think or decide too quickly that something is true when you do not know all the facts about it. Defilements, asavas, impurities, stains. Defile is to stain, not to purify. Be liberated from defilements. Be freed or released from impurities or stains. Comprehension questions. Number 1. Who were the 3 brothers Kassapa? Number 2. How did the Kassapas and their assemblies attain arahantship? Number 3. What metaphor did the Buddha use in this sermon and why? Number 4. What all is on fire? Number 5. What is all burning with? Number 6. How does a well-taught Aryan disciple feel when seeing this? Number 7. How is he liberated? Number 8. What does he know when he is liberated? Number 9. What kind of knowledge is it? What does he understand then? Number 10. What happened to the 1,000 bhikkhus at the end of the sermon? Lesson 8. The conversion of the 2 chief disciples. Paragraph 1. Sariputta, also called Upatissa, and Moggallana Kolita, were 2 young Brahmins, pupils of Sanjaya. Dissatisfied with his teaching, they left him and wandered in search of deathlessness from a new master. Paragraph 2. At that time, the Buddha sent forth the first 60 arahants to proclaim the Dhamma to the world. The arahant Assaji went on his round for alms in Rajagaha, where he met Sariputta, who was attracted by his calm appearance. After offering him a seat and water as the first duties of a pupil, Sariputta exchanged courteous greetings with the holy monk and said, "Venerable sir, calm and serene are your sense organs. Clean and clear is the hue of your skin. For whose sake have you renounced the world? Whose doctrine do you profess?" The elder modestly replied, "There is, O friend, the great recluse, the son of the Sakyas. Under that blessed one I have gone forth. It is his Dhamma that I profess. I am but new to the training. I cannot explain the Dhamma in detail to you." Paragraph 3. But when Sariputta kept on requesting him to say much or little according to his ability, the elder uttered a 4-line stanza, skillfully summing up the essence of the Buddha's doctrine, the law of dependent arising, and the 4 noble truths. Of all things that proceed from a cause, their cause the Tathagata has explained, and also their cessation. Thus teaches the great recluse. Paragraph 4. Sariputta was so enlightened that immediately, on hearing the first 2 lines, he attained stream entrance and the first stage of sainthood. He showed deep gratitude to his new teacher and returned to his friend Moggallana, who also became a stream entrant at the conclusion of the stanza. Then they went with their attendants to Veluvana to ask the Buddha for going forth. A fortnight later, when they became arahants, the Buddha granted them the rank of chief disciples with these words, "O monks, chief among my disciples who have won great wisdom is Sariputta, and chief among those who have achieved psychic power is Moggallana the Great." Dhammapada, verse 101. Better than 1,000 verses with useless words is one useful single line, by hearing which one is at peace. Dhammapada, verse 102. Should one recite 100 verses with useless words, better is one single word of the Dhamma, by hearing which one is pacified. Pronunciation. Word stress and sound columns. 1. Serene, detail, proceed, relieve, immediately. Number 2. Skin, bliss, ignorance, ability. Number 3. Profess, essence, entrance, venerable. Number 4. Stanza, pacify, dissatisfied. Number 5. Alms, grant, calm. Number 6. Modest, commentary. Number 7. Courteous, according. Number 8. Hue, recluse, conclude, conclusion. delusion. Number 9, utter, utterance. Number 10, exchange, gratitude, cessation. Number 11, pride, right, psychic. Number 12, doubt, downfall. Number 13, death, truth. Number 14, breathe, though. Vocabulary words and expressions. Be dissatisfied with someone or something. Be not pleased with someone or something. Walk or go on one's rounds for alms food. Go out for alms gathering. Walk for alms food. Be attracted by someone's appearance. Be keenly interested in someone's appearance. When the eye is in contact with an object or sees a form, he is not attracted by its general appearance or its details. Profess one's faith or religion. Declare one's faith openly. Stream entrance. Stream winning. Stream entering. Sota pati. The state of winning the stream that represents the noble path. A stream entrant. Sota panna. The one who enters the stream that leads to Nibbana, who catches the first glimpse of Nibbana. A stream winner is no more a worldling, but a noble man, Arya, who is not subject to downfall and assured of final enlightenment. On attaining this first stage of sainthood, he has removed the first 3 fetters, samjoyana, of the lower world. Number 1, wrong view on self. Number 2, doubts. Number 3, attachment to wrong rites and customs. A once returner. The one who will be born in this world once, who attains the second stage of sainthood when he weakens the 2 fetters of the lower world, sense desires and ill will. A non or never returner. The one who attains the 3rd stage of sainthood when he completely removes those 2 fetters. After death, he is reborn in the pure abodes, Suddhavasa, where he attains arahantship. An arahant, a perfected one, a saint who attains the perfection of knowledge when he has destroyed all the 5 fetters of the upper world. Number 1, attachment to the world forms. Number 2, attachment to the formless world. Number 3, pride. Number 4, restlessness. Number 5, ignorance or delusion. An arahant is a worthy one. He is not subject to rebirth because he does not perform new kamic deeds. He has relieved the burden of sorrow and destroyed all shades of ignorance. He experiences the bliss of Nibbana. He is called an aseka, non-learner, who does not undergo the 3-fold training, while others are sekas, learners, who still undergo the training of sila, disciple, discipline, samadhi, concentration, and panna, wisdom. Panna kaku, the eye of a perfected one, a saint who attains wisdom, the perfection of knowledge. Psychic powers, Idi, supernatural powers or wonders. Win, attain, or achieve psychic powers. Comprehension questions. Who were the Sariputta and Moggallana? Why did they leave their teacher and go around the country? When did Sariputta meet the elder Assaji? What feature of his attracted Sariputta's attention? What did Sariputta do, then, in order to get into contact with the elder? What did he say to the elder next? What was the holy monk's answer? What was the stanza uttered by the holy monk? What happened to Sariputta on hearing the stanza, and what did he do then? What happened to Moggallana on hearing the stanza? What did they do then? What did the Buddha do when Sariputta and Moggallana became arhants? What did he say about the noble pair of disciples? Lesson 9. The Conversion of the Robber Angulimala. Paragraph 1. Angulimala was a bloodthirsty robber who caused great destruction in the kingdom of Kosala. Once the Lord, returning from his alms round, entered the highway where lurked the robber. Then the Lord performed such a wonderful psychic power that the robber, although hurrying with all his might, was unable to catch up with the Lord, who was walking at his ordinary pace. Then the robber stood still and said to the Lord, "Stand still, O recluse, stand still." "I stand still, Angulimala. You too stand still." Paragraph 2. Amazed at the reply, the robber addressed the Lord in verse. "While you are walking, recluse, you say, 'I stand still.' And to me, who stand still, you say that I am not standing still. Therefore, recluse, I ask you about this matter. How is it that you are standing still, but I am not standing still?" Angulimala, I am standing still, having given up the stick and the sword for all beings. But you are merciless to all beings. Therefore, I am standing still, and you are not standing still. Long have I revered the recluse, the great sage who has entered the great forest. Having heard the Dhamma in a verse of yours, I will soon renounce evil. Paragraph 3. So saying, the robber hurled his sword and weapon down a cliff into a pit. The robber honored the wayfarer's feet, and then and there he asked for going forth. The awakened one and compassionate great sage, who is the teacher of the world of gods and men, thereupon said to him, "Come, monk," and this alone sufficed to make him a monk. Paragraph 4. Then King Pasendi Kosala, having drawn near, spoke to the Lord. "It is wonderful. Revered sir, it is marvelous. How the Lord tames the untamed, calms the uncalmed, even without the stick or the sword." Paragraph 5. Then the elder Angulimala, living alone, diligent, resolute, soon by his super-knowledge realized here and now the supreme goal of the Brahma faring, for the sake of which good youths rightly go forth from home into homeless life, and so he was one of the perfected ones. While experiencing the bliss of freedom, he uttered this solemn utterance. Dhammapada verse 172. He who was heedless before, but diligent afterward, illumines this world like the moon, which is freed from a cloud. Dhammapada verse 173. He whose past evil deeds are covered by good deeds illumines this world like the moon freed from a cloud. Dhammapada verse 382. The young monk who devotes himself to the law of the Buddha illumines the world like the moon freed from a cloud. Therigatha. Some are tamed by the stick or whips, but I was subdued without the staff, without the sword, by such a one, the Tathagata. Pronunciation, word stress, and sound columns. Number 1, heedless, evil. Number 2, cliff, diligent. Number 3, weapon, resolute, metaphor, ceremony. Number 4, uncalmed, marvelous. Number 5, honor, forest, solemn. Number 6, sword, ordinary. Number 7, recluse, subdue, illumine. Number 8, hurl, merciless. Number 9, suffice. Number 10, revere. Number 11, catch, such. Number 12, sage, diligent. Vocabulary, words and expressions. Angulimala, the one who wears a garland of fingers. Return from one's alms round. Go back from one's alms round or gathering. With all his might, at full speed. Merciful, compassionate, not merciless. Come, monks, ehi bhikkhu, eta bhikkhave. The words used by the Buddha when he received someone or many people into the order without any ceremony. Renounce evil. Give up evil. Stop doing evil. Psychic power. Wonderful, supernatural, mental power. Perform a psychic power. Diligent. Hard-working. Careful. Diligence. Careful and hard work. Effort. Realize the goal of the Brahma faring. Attain the same supreme knowledge, happiness. Attain nibbana or deathlessness. Go forth from home into homelessness. Leave home for a homeless life, a religious life. Experience the bliss of freedom. Enjoy supreme happiness of liberation. Enjoy the fruit of arahantship. Comprehension questions. Number 1. Who was Angulimala? What does Angulimala mean? Number 2. Where did the Buddha meet him? Number 3. What did the Buddha do then? Number 4. What did the robber ask him? Number 5. What did the Buddha say in reply? 6. Did the robber understand what the Buddha said? Number 7. What did the Buddha explain to the robber? Number 8. What did the robber do next? Number 9. What did the Buddha say to him then and there? Number 10. Why did King Pasenadi say to the Buddha? Number 11. For what sake do good youths rightly go forth from home into homeless life? Number 12. How did the elder Angulimala realize the supreme goal of holy life? Lesson 10. Kasabiharaja Sutta. Paragraph 1. Thus have I heard. Once the master was staying among the Magadhans at Ekanalaya, the Brahmin village near the southern hill, Dakinagiri. Then the Brahmin, farmer Bharadvaja, had in yoke 500 plows for the sowing time. Paragraph 2. Now early one morning, the master, having dressed and taking bowl and robe, approached the farmer at work, as it was time of the food distribution. The master drew near and stood at one side. Paragraph 3. As the Brahmin saw the master waiting for alms, he spoke thus to him: O recluse, I plow and I sow, and when I have plowed, I eat. You, O recluse, should plow and sow too, for having done so, you may eat. I too, O Brahmin, plow and sow, and having plowed and sown, I eat. But we see not Master Gotama's yoke and plow, nor his plowshare, goad, nor oxen. Yet Master Gotama speaks so. Paragraph 4. Then the farmer addressed the master thus in verse: You profess to be a plowman, yet we see not your plowing. Tell us what plowing is yours. Of that we would like to learn from you. Paragraph 5. The master replied in verse: Confidence is the seed, discipline is the rain, wisdom is my yoke and plow. Modesty is my pole, mind is the strap, and I have mindfulness for plowshare and goad. I am guarded in act and word, temperate in eating. With truth I clear the weeds, and bliss is my deliverance. Vigor, my team and yoke, carries me to the security from the bonds, and it goes on without turning back. It goes where there is no suffering, and thus is the plowing done, and there comes the deathless fruit. Having plowed this plowing, one is freed from all sorrow. Paragraph 6. Thereupon, Brahman Bharadvaja had a large copper bowl filled with milk rice and offered it to the master, saying, Let Master Gotama eat this milk rice. A plowman indeed is the master, since he plows a plowing for deathless fruit. The Exalted One replied, 'Tis not mine to enjoy fair one from chanting hymns. 'Tis not the thing for seers, O Brahman. The awakened one rejects such food. Where the Dhamma reigns, this is the livelihood. You must offer other food and drink to the stainless great sage of holy calm, for he is a field to a man who desires to sow merits. Paragraph 7. Then farmer Bharadvaja approached and fell with his head at the Exalted One's feet and cried, It's amazing, Master Gotama. It's marvelous. Just as a man might set up a thing overturned, reveal what is hidden, or point out the way to the blind, bring a lamp into the darkness so that those with eyes might see forms. Even so, the Dhamma has been made clear in many figures by Master Gotama. I am going to Master Gotama for refuge, to the Dhamma and to the order of monks. May I receive the going forth in the presence of Master Gotama. May I receive higher ordination. Paragraph 8. Now, not long after his ordination, Venerable Bharadvaja, dwelling alone, aloof, diligent, ardent, resolute, soon entered and abided in the supreme goal of the holy life. And by his own super-knowledge did he realize it here and now. So he became one of the worthy ones. Dhammapada, verse 354. The gift of the law excels all gifts. The flavor of the law excels all flavors. Delight in the law excels all delights. The destruction of craving overcomes all suffering. Dhammapada, verse 3, 5, 6. Weeds ruin a field. Lust ruins mankind. Therefore, alms given to those who are free from lust bear abundant fruit. Pronunciation. Word stress and sound columns. Number 1. Weeds. Indeed. Reveal. Number 2. Hymn. Hidden. Distribute. Sympathy. Deliverance. Number 3. Merit. Reject. Adept. Temperature. Austerity. Meditate. Meditative. Number 4. Chant. Guard. Number 5. Abundant. Number 6. Copper. Modesty. Admonisher. Number 7. Aloof. Security. Distribution. Number 8. Rain. Faith. Waver. Unwavering. Number 9. Sow. Yoke. Abode. Number 10. Hide. Abide. Number 11. Plow. Plowman. Plowshare. Vocabulary. Words and expression. Paragraph 1. Kasi Bharavaja Sutta. Dakinagiri, the southern hill in Magadha. Plow, the land and the soil. Dig, turn the land with a plow. Plowman, who guides a plow pulled by oxen. Plowshare, a blade of a plow. Yoke, a piece of wood fixed across the neck of oxen. Yoke, a bond. Have a plow in yoke. Sowing time, the time for sowing seeds. Sow seeds in a field. Sow a field with seeds. Paragraph 2. Distribute something to someone or among someone. Give a share to each of them. Paragraph 4. Profess to do something. Claims to do something. Sometimes that is not true. Example. He professed to be a physician. Paragraph 5. Confidence. Sada. Certainty through seeing and understanding. Example. The Dhamma is a come and see thing, a thing which invites you to come and see. Ehi pasika. Discipline. Tapa. Here. Austerity. High morality. Wisdom. Pana. Mind. Mano. Mindfulness. Sati. Modesty. Hiri. Here. Shyness. A sense of shame. Hiri otapa. Modesty and fear of wrongdoing. The supreme security from the bonds or yokes. The bond-free state. Nibbana. Vigor. Viriya. Effort. The team in yoke. The oxen at work. Have something plus past particle. Cause something to be done. Example. Have a bowl filled with rice. Have one's hair cut or shaved. Have one's tooth filled or pulled. Have one's car repaired. Enjoy fare. Eat food. Chant a hymn. Recite a religious song or verse. Reject something. Refuse to accept something. Not accept something or receive something. Be temperate in something. Be moderate, not extreme in something. Be guarded in act and word. Be self-controlled in act and word. Be temperate in food, in language, in eating, in speaking. Merit, puna. Virtue, excellence, quality of deserving praise. Example, a man or woman of merit, a field of merit. Merits, good actions or deeds. Example, to sow merits. The Lord's order of disciples is worthy of offerings, worthy of reverence. It is a matchless field of merit for the world. Going forth, pabaja, lesser ordination as a novice, taking the 3 refuges and the 10 precepts. A novice, a samanera. Receive lesser ordination. Receive ordination as a novice. Higher ordination, a pusampada. Ordination as a bhikkhu. Receive higher ordination. Receive higher ordination as a bhikkhu. Aloof from something, apart or detached from something. Example, aloofness, detachment. Enter and abide in something. Realize something. A stage of meditation. Example, a monk, aloof from sense pleasures, aloof from evil, states of mind, enters and abides in the first stage of jhana. The seer of all, the all-seeing one, the all-awake. An epithet of the Buddha, the Tathagata. The 5-fold eye of knowledge or vision. Nana, Panka, Kakuni. Number 1. Dhamma, Kaku, or eye. The eye of truth for the first 3 stages of sainthood. Dhamma, vision. Diva Kaku, eye. The Diva eye, divine vision. Pana Kaku, or eye. The eye of wisdom, of an arahant, spiritual vision. Buddha Kaku, or eye. The eye of an awakened one, Buddha vision. Samanta Kaku, or eye. The all-seeing eye, or vision. The perfect knowledge, or wisdom of the Tathagata. The Tathagata's 10 epithets, titles. The Tathagata, the perfected one, the fully self-awakened one, endowed with knowledge and right conduct, the wayfarer, the knower of the worlds, the matchless leader of men willing to be tamed, the teacher of gods and men, the Buddha, the Lord. Comprehension questions. Paragraph 1. Where was the Buddha staying when the story began? Paragraph 2. When did the Lord approach Brahman Bharavaja? Paragraph 3 and 4. What did the Brahmin say to the Lord? What did the Lord answer? Did the Brahmin understand what the Buddha said? Paragraph 5. How did the Buddha explain what he meant? What metaphors or figures of speech did he use to describe his plowing? How did he behave while doing his plowing? What is his deliverance? Where did his team of oxen go? What fruit comes to such a plowing? If a man does this plowing, what state will he attain at last? What does this plowing symbolize? What is the symbolic meaning of this plowing? Paragraph 6. What did the farmer do next? What did he say? Did the Buddha receive his gift? Why or why not? What did the Buddha ask the farmer to do? Paragraph 7. What was the farmer's attitude or manner on hearing the Buddha's verse? What similes or figures of speech did he use to express his feelings? What was he doing then? What did he ask the Lord for? Paragraph 8. What happened to the elder Maharaja soon after his ordination? Lesson 11. Part 1. The founding of the Sangha of Bhikkhunis, the order of nuns. Paragraph 1. It was at the request of Elder Ananda, the devoted attendant, and Queen Gotami, that the Buddha founded the order of nuns. Just as he had granted the rank of the 2 chief disciples for the order of monks, he appointed 2 chief female disciples, Venerable Kema and Venerable Upalavana, for the order of nuns headed by Venerable Bhikkhuni Gotami. Paragraph 2. The Therigatha appear several verses uttered by those famous female disciples who attained sainthood, together with other Sakyan ladies. Part 2. A. Bhikkhus, monks, chief disciples. Number 1. Chief among my disciples, monks of long standing, is Anna Kondana. Number 2. Chief among those of great wisdom is Sariputta. Number 3. Chief among those of psychic powers is Moggallana the Great. Number 4. Chief among those of austerity is Kassapa the Great. Number 5. Chief among those of divine vision is Anuruddha. Number 6. Chief among those of large following is Uruvela Kassapa. Number 7. Chief among those of wide knowledge and good behavior is Ananda. Number 8. Chief among those of good health is Bakula. Number 9. Chief among my disciples who know the rules by heart is Upali. Number 10. Chief among my disciples who are Dhamma teachers is Puna Mantaniputta. Number 11. Chief among my disciples who are admonishers of the monks is Kapina the Great. Number 12. Chief among my disciples who are admonishers of the nuns is Nandaka. Number 13. Chief among my disciples who are anxious for training is Rahula. Number 14. Chief among my disciples who live in peace and are worthy of offerings is Subhuti. Number 15. Chief among my disciples who guard the sense doors is Nanda. Bhikkhunis, chief women disciples or nuns. 1. Chief among my women disciples, nuns of long standing, is great Pajapati Gotami. Number 2. Chief among my women disciples, nuns of great wisdom, is Kema. Number 3. Chief among my women disciples, nuns of supernatural powers, is Upalavana. Number 4. Chief among my women disciples, nuns of meditative powers, is Nanda. Number 5. Chief among my women disciples, nuns of divine vision, is Sakula. Number 6. Chief among Dhamma teachers is Dhammadina. Number 7. Chief among those who have attained great supernatural powers is Bada Kakana. Number 8. Chief among those who are adept in the rules of is Patakara. C. Upasakas, lay brothers, chief lay followers. 1. Chief among my lay disciples or lay followers, the almsgivers, is Sudatta the householder, Anathapindika. Number 2. Chief among Dhamma teachers is Sita of Machikasanada. Number 3. Chief among those who win the 4 bases of sympathy is Hataka of Alavi. Number 4. Chief among those who wait on the order is Ugata. Number 5. Among those of unwavering faith is Sora Ambata. Chief among those who are liked by people is Jivaka the physician. D. Upasikas, lay sisters. Chief lay followers, women. 1. Chief among my women disciples, of those who first took refuge in my teaching, is Sujata. 2. Chief among those who wait on the order is Visakha, Migara's mother. Number 3. Among those who live in kindliness is Samavati. Number 4. Chief among those of wide knowledge is Kujutara. Number 5. Chief among those of meditative power is Uttara. Number 6. Chief among those of unwavering faith is Katyayani. Charagata, the 33 gods. And the gods in other heavens, all they come forever under Mara's control, for all are bound by bonds of sense desire. On fire is all the world, and racked in flames. Ablaze is all the world, the heavens do quake. But that which quakes not, untrodden by the worldling's feet, where Mara comes not, nor has waygate, there does my heart abide in blessed retreat. Number 1. Pronunciation, word stress and sound columns. 1. Female, retreat. 2. Sympathy, committee. Number 3. Tread, adept, austerity, meditative. 4. Rack, anxious, supernatural, popularity, liberality. 5. Trodden, untrodden, equality. Number 6. Waver, ablaze, unwavering, unshakable. 7. Abide, anxiety, society. 8. Basis, assembly. 9. Wisdom, anxiety, ablaze. 10. Anxious. Vocabulary, words and expressions. The Sangha of Bhikkhunis, the order of Buddhist nuns, the Buddhist sisterhood. At the request of someone, because of someone's wish. The Lord founded the order of nuns at the request of the elder Ananda and Queen Gotami. Make a request for something. Ask for something politely. Queen Gotami made several requests for going forth, and finally the Lord granted her request. Request someone to do something, formal. Ask someone to do something. You are kindly requested not to smoke here. Appoint someone for something. Choose someone for a job or position. We appointed him chairman of the committee. Head a community or company. Lead a community or company. Who headed the community of nuns at the Buddha's time? Of long standing. Of long time. About 10 years of religious life. A monk or nun of long standing. An elder brother or sister. Be adept in something. Be expert or excellent in something. The elder Upali was adept in the rules, Vinaya. Win psychic power. Gain supernatural power. Austerity. Austere way of life. These monks lead an austere way of life. The venerable elder Kassapa distinguished himself by his austerity. Obtained divine vision, eye or ear. Gain heavenly eye or ear. With the pure divine vision, surpassing that of men, he sees beings passing away and arising. Win the 4 bases of sympathy. Win the 4 grounds of popularity: liberality, kind speech, justice, equality. These are the 4 ways of conquering people's heart. Have unwavering faith in someone. Have firm confidence in someone. Unwavering, firm, unshakable. Waver, shake. Quake, shake. An earthquake. The earth or the world quakes or shakes. Be ablaze. Formal. Be in flames. Be on fire. Be burning. All the world is ablaze. All the world is burning. Rack something. Ruin something. Decay something. Comprehension questions. Paragraph 1. 1. When did the Buddha found the order of nuns? 2. Who headed the order of nuns? 3. Who was or were appointed chief female disciples? 4. What fruit did the chief female disciples gain? 5. Where can the verses uttered by these female arhants be found? Paragraph 2. A. Monks. 1. Who was chief among monks of long standing? 2. Who was chief among monks of great wisdom? 3. Who was chief among monks of psychic power? Number 4. Who was chief among monks of austerity? 5. Who was chief among monks of divine vision? 6. Who was chief among monks of large following? 7. Who was chief among monks of wide knowledge? Number 8. Who was chief among monks of good health? 9. Who was chief among those who knew the rules? 10. Who was chief among those who were Dhamma teachers? 11. Who was chief among those who were admonishers of monks? B. Nuns. 1. Who was chief among nuns of long standing? 2. Who was chief among nuns of great wisdom? 3. Who was chief among nuns of supernatural power? 4. Who was chief among nuns of meditative power? 5. Who was chief among nuns of divine vision? 6. Who was chief among Dhamma teachers? 7. Who was chief among those who attained great psychic power? 8. Who was chief among those who were adept in the rules? C. Lay brothers. 1. Who was chief among almsgivers? 2. Who was chief among Dhamma teachers? 3. Who was chief among those who won the 4 bases of sympathy? 4. Who was chief among those who waited on the order? 5. Who was chief among those of unwavering faith? 6. Who was chief among those who were liked by people? D. Lay sisters. Who was chief among those who first took refuge in the Buddha's teaching? 2. Who was chief among those who waited on the order? 3. Who was chief among those who lived in kindliness? 4. Who was chief among those of wide knowledge? 5. Who was chief among those of meditative power? 6. Who was chief among those of unwavering faith?
Lesson 12. The Buddha's Parinibbana. Paragraph 1. At the age of 80, the Buddha, accompanied by a large assembly of monks, set out on a long journey from Gijagota, the Vulture Peak, near Rajagaha, to many towns, cities, and villages where he preached the Dhamma, enlightening his disciples with various discourses,
and emphasizing the fundamental doctrine of the Four Noble Truths. It is through not understanding the Four Noble Truths, O Bhikkhus, that we have had to wander so long in this weary path of rebirth, both you and I. Paragraph 2. On the long way, while staying at numerous rest houses, halls, shrines, and groves, the Buddha held Dhamma talks with his great company, advising his pupils to be mindful and self-possessed in learning the threefold training. Such is right conduct, sila. Such is concentration, samadhi. And such is wisdom, panna. Paragraph 3. When they arrived in Vesali, a prosperous city, they stayed at Ambapali's mango grove, where the Buddha gave a lecture to the Likhavis and Ambapali, the courtesan, who later offered the Buddha and the Sangha her mango grove. In his last rain retreat in Baluva, a village near Vesali, sharp pains came upon the Exalted One, but he bore them with his strong will, without complaint. Paragraph 4. Very soon after his recovery, in his last instruction about the order, he addressed the Venerable Ananda. The Tathagata does not think that he should lead the order, or the order is dependent on him. Therefore, O Ananda, be lamps to yourself, be a refuge to yourself. Go to no external refuge. Hold fast to the Dhamma as a lamp. Hold fast to the Dhamma as a refuge. Paragraph 5. And how, O Ananda, is a bhikkhu to be a lamp to himself, a refuge to himself, going to no external refuge, holding fast to the Dhamma as a lamp? Herein, a bhikkhu lives diligent, mindful, and self-possessed, overcoming desire and grief in the world, reflecting on the body, feeling, mind, or mental states, and mental objects. The Buddha indeed lays emphasis on the importance of personal striving for purification and freedom from suffering. Having passed from town to town, the Buddha and the order came to Pava and stayed at Kundas Mango Grove, where they were entertained by the devout smith. Later, the Buddha said that his last meal, like the food offered him before his enlightenment, was of much greater fruit and much greater profit than any other. Paragraph 7. Then they moved on to the Sala Grove of the Mallas in Kusinara, where a wandering ascetic, Subhada, approached them and requested the Buddha to clear his doubt about other religious teachers at that time. The Buddha spoke thus: In whatever doctrine and discipline, O Subhada, the Noble Eightfold Path is not found. Neither is there found the first samana, nor the second, nor the third, nor the fourth. Now, in this doctrine and disciple, O Subhada, there is the Noble Eightfold Path, and in it too are found the first and second, and the third and fourth samanas. The other teachers' schools are empty of samanas. If, O Subhada, the disciples live rightly, the world would not be void of arahants. Void of true saints are the systems of other teachers. But in this one, may the bhikkhus live the perfect life, so that the world would not be without saints. So the ascetic Subhada was the last disciple to be converted by the Exalted One, and he became one of the arahants soon after his ordination. Paragraph 8. At last, the Exalted One addressed the bhikkhus, saying his final exhortation: Behold now, O bhikkhus, I exhort you, subject to change are all component things. Strive on with diligence. Paragraph 9. Thus, at Kusinara, in the Sala Grove of the Mallas, the final passing away of the Buddha took place. It was again the full moon day of Vesak in 543 BC. His body was cremated with great ceremony, and the relics were divided among Brahmins, kings, and nobles, and were then enshrined in 10 stupas. Paragraph 10. Today, Buddhists from all over the world often go on a pilgrimage to the 4 holy places: Lumbini in Nepal, the Buddha's birthplace; Buddha Gaya, where he attained supreme enlightenment; the Deer Park in Sarnath, near Benares, where he turned the Dhamma wheel; and Kusinara, where he passed away, in the utter passing away, Parinibbana. Dhammapada, verse 146. Why is laughter, why is joy, when the world is ever burning, shrouded by darkness? Do you not see a light? Dhammapada, verse 236. Make an island to yourself. Strive quickly, be wise. When your impurities are removed and you are free from passions, you shall go to the heavenly world of the holy. Dhammapada, verse 238. Make an island to yourself. Be diligent without delay. Be wise. When you are freed from stain and become passionless, you will not come again to birth and old age. Pronunciation. Word stress and sound columns. 1. Peak, retreat. 2. Smith, pilgrim, pilgrimage. 3. Relics, empty, possessed, emphasize, emphasis, fundamental. 4. Mango, emphatic, courtesan. 5. Conduct, profit, prosperous, profitable. 6. Exhort. 7. Vulture, recovery, instruction, company, accompany. 8. Journey, external, internal, personal. 9. Complaint, cremate, purification, exhortation. 10. Grove, component. 11. Shrine, enshrine, advice, advise, striving. 12. Void, voidness. Vocabulary, words and expressions. Paragraph 1. Gijakuta, the vulture peak, one of the 5 hills around Rajagaha where the Buddha and the Sangha used to live. Accompany someone. Go or travel with someone as a companion. Set out on a journey. Start or begin a journey. Example, set out on a preaching tour. Enlighten someone as to something. Give someone more knowledge about something. Illumine someone. Free someone from ignorance. Be enlightened as to something. Can you enlighten us as to the right method of learning? The Buddha enlightens men as to the right way of living. Men are enlightened by the Buddha as to the right way. Emphasize something. Stress something. Lay or put emphasis or stress on something. The Buddha emphasizes personal striving for purification. The path of rebirth. The round of rebirth. Samsara. Paragraph 2. Be mindful and self-possessed. Be heedful or thoughtful and calm. Mindfulness and self-possession, or heedfulness and calmness. The 8 factors or parts of the Noble Path can be grouped into the 3-fold training. Sila, morality or discipline. Right speech, right action, right livelihood. 2. Samadhi, concentration. Right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Panna, wisdom. Right view, right understanding, right thought. Paragraph 3. Ambapali, the mango grower, the name of a courtesan in Vasali. Make a rain retreat, Vasana. Spend a rain retreat. Spend a rainy season in seclusion. Advise someone to do something. Admonish someone to do something. He advised them to strive on. Advise someone on something. Give advice to someone on something. The counselor advised the king on worldly and religious affairs. Bear something, a pain, a difficulty. Accept it bravely. They bore their sorrow without complaint. Paragraph 4. Recover from something. An illness, a grief. Return to a normal state. Get over it. Recovery. Depend on someone or something. Be dependent on someone, something. Be a lamp, an island to oneself. Here. Be a refuge to oneself. Paragraph 5. Reflect on something. Think deeply about something. Watch something carefully. The 4 bases of mindfulness: the body, feelings, mental states, mental objects. Paragraph 6. Entertain someone, a guest. Serve someone with food and drink. Profit, benefit, good. Profitable, good. Gain or get profit from something. Paragraph 7. The first samana, the sotapanna, the stream winner. The second samana, the sakadagamin, the once returner. The third samana, the anagamin, the non-returner. The fourth samana, the arahant, the perfect saint or perfect one. Be void of someone or something. Be empty of someone or something. Be without something. The world is void and empty of self. Live rightly. Live the right, perfect life. The 6 sense organs, 6 sense objects, 6 kinds of contact and consciousness are void of self. All component things, sankhara. All things in the world, a component, a part of the whole. Behold something, see something. Strive for something. Try very hard to do something. Strive for success or purification. Striving, a very great effort. Cremate a body. Burn it with ceremony. Cremation. Enshrine something. Keep something in a shrine. A shrine. A holy place. A place of worship. A stupa. A tupa, a Buddhist monument. The relics. The remains of the body of a holy person. The Buddha's relics are enshrined in stupas. Pass away in the final, utter passing away. Attain parinibbana. There are 2 aspects of nibbana. 1. Nibbana realized in this very life with the body remaining. This is the attainment of arahantship, the destruction of craving, hate, and delusion or ignorance, the cessation of suffering, defilements, kilesa nibbana. This is nibbana with the groups of existence still remaining. Parinibbana, the full utter destruction of the groups of existence. Khanda, parinibbana, or nibbana without the groups remaining. This is full, utter passing away, the death of an arahant, a Buddha, which leaves nothing behind. Each aspect of nibbana receives its name according to the way it is experienced before or after death. Sometimes both aspects take place at the same moment, that is, at the breaking up of the body of an arahant. Nibbana is not a place or a kind of heaven where a self or soul resides. This is an attainment of a state which is dependent on this body itself, and the state can be attained in this present life. Comprehension questions. Paragraph 1. 1. When did the Buddha start his journey from Rajagaha? 2. What did he emphasize in his Dhamma talks, or discourses, to his disciples? Paragraph 2. 3. What did he advise them to do? 4. What is the threefold training? Paragraph 3. 5. Who did the Buddha give a lecture in Vesali? 6. Who offered the Buddha and the Sangha a mango grove? 7. Where did the Buddha spend his last retreat? 8. What happened to the Lord then, and how did he bear his pains? Paragraph 4. 9. Did the Buddha think he should lead the Sangha, or the Sangha was dependent on him? 10. What did he ask the Sangha, the order of bhikkhus, to do in his last instruction? Paragraph 5. How is a bhikkhu to be a lamp, a refuge to himself? 12. What did the Buddha emphasize in his last instruction? Paragraph 6. 13. Where did the Buddha take his last meal? 14. What did the Lord say about that meal? Paragraph 7. 15. Where did the Lord and his disciples come at last? 16. Who was the Buddha's last disciple at Kusinara? 17. What did he ask the Buddha to do then? 18. What did the Buddha say to him about other religious teachers' schools? 19. What did the Lord say about his doctrine and discipline? 20. What did the Buddha wish the bhikkhus to do? Paragraph 8. 21. What are the Buddha's last words? Paragraph 9. 22. Where did the Buddha's parinibbana take place and when? 23. What was done with the body of the Buddha? 24. What was done with his relics? 25. Where were his relics enshrined? Paragraph 10. 26. What holy places do Buddhists often go visit? Book 1, Chapter 3, Supplementary Lessons. Number 1. A short introduction to the Vietnam Buddhist Academy, VBA, the former Vietnam Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies. The Vienne Buddhist Academy, formerly named the Vienne Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies, was founded in 1984 in Ho Chi Minh City. The VBA leadership consists of the Most Venerable Dr. Thich Minh Chau as Rector, the Most Venerable Thich Ten Su as Vice Rector, the Venerable Dr. Thich Chon Ten as Vice Rector, the Venerable Thich Yak Tuan as Vice Rector, Mr. Dong Ho Kam as Vice Rector, Mr. Tran Tuan Man as Secretary General, the Venerable Dick Dat Dao as Office Chief. The aim of the Vienne Buddhist Academy is to train a new generation of well-qualified monks and nuns. After a 4-year course, graduate students can continue their postgraduate studies in order to become researchers at the Vienne Buddhist Research Institute, or they can teach at basic Buddhist schools and serve the Central Buddhist Sangha or their local Buddhist Sangha. Course 1, attended by 60 students, was opened from the end of 1984 to 1988. Course 2, attended by 100 students, was opened from 1989 to 1992. Course 3, attended by 255 students, was opened from 1993 to 1997. Course 4, attended by nearly 300 students, has been open from 1997. The monk and nun students belong to the 3 Buddhist schools: the Theravada, the school of the elders; the Mahayana, the school of the Great Vehicle or Developing Buddhism; and the Vienne Mendicant sect. During the 4 academic years, the students are instructed in both canonical subjects and non-canonical subjects. Besides, they practice mental development, Buddhist meditation, bhavana, under the Most Venerable Rector's guidance. A. The canonical subjects are 1. The original triple canon, Pali Tipitaka, and some of the basic Buddhist doctrines of the Theravada, the school of the elders; the Sarvasitavada, the school of the pan-realists who accept the reality of all things; and the Mahayana, developing Buddhism. The Pali Tipitaka, the triple canon, or the 3 baskets in Pali, consists of 1. Sutta Pitaka, the basket of discourses, the 5 Nikaya collections. A. Tika Nikaya, the collection of the long dialogues. B. Majjhima Nikaya, the collection of the middle-length sayings. C. Samyutta Nikaya,
the collection of the kindred sayings. D. Anguttara Nikaya, the collection of the gradual sayings. E. Khuddaka Nikaya, the collection of the minor discourses. 2. Vinaya Pitaka, the basket of rules or a code of moral conduct or discipline. 3. Abhidhamma Pitaka, the basket of super doctrine, composed of 7 treatises. The Pali Triple Canon of the Orthodox Theravada, or the Southern School of Buddhism, is kept intact in Sri Lanka as a national treasure. 2. Some basic doctrines of different Buddhist schools. 1. The Sarvastiva Das treatises. A. Abhidharma Kosa. B. Vibhasa. 6. C. Mahavibhasa. 2. A number of the sutras, discourses, and the sastras, treatises, of the Mahayana. A. Madhyamika, the teaching of the middle way. B. Mahaprachana Paramita Sutras, the great discourses on the perfect wisdom. C. Mahaparinirvana Sutra, the discourse on the great decease. D. Lankavatara Sutra. E. Siddharma Pundarika Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, or the discourse on the lotus flower of the wonderful law. F. Vajprajna Paramita Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, or the discourse on the diamond of the perfect wisdom. G. Vimalakirti Sutra. 3. The Vijnanandava, the theory of mind only. Vijnanapimatra Sastra, treatise on the mind only theory. B. The non-canonical subjects are: 1. History of Vietnam. 2. History of Vietnamese civilization. 3. History of Vietnamese literature and composition. 4. History of Vietnamese Buddhism and World Buddhism. 5. History of religions. 6. History of Buddhist thought in India. 7. Introduction to philosophy and philosophical problems. 8. Psychology. 9. Sociology. 10. Civics. 11. Aesthetics. 12. Management. 13. Languages. A. Pali. B. Sanskrit. C. Lexical Chinese. D. Mandarin. E. Practical English. G. Buddhist technical terms in English. In addition to these subjects, there are extracurricular activities such as reports on current activities of world Buddhism, Vietnamese culture, or some academic problems, and especially since 1993, or Course 3, an English-speaking club has been opened under the auspices of the Most Venerable Rector to satisfy the students' fresh demands for practicing everyday dialogues about their institute, their class activities, their monastic life, or making short speeches on some Buddhist topics, for example, New Year's holidays at your pagoda, monastery, or nunnery, the Buddha's birthday in your city, the rain retreat of monks and nuns in your country, or a brief survey of Vietnamese Buddhism and discussions. Number 2. The Vienne Buddhist Research Institute, VBRI. The Vienne Buddhist Research Institute was founded in 1989 in Ho Chi Minh City. It undertakes the task of elucidating the Buddha's teachings, emphasizing creativeness in the Dhamma propagation in accordance with the social and scientific progress of our time. Moreover, it tries its best to widen world Buddhist activities and promote exchanges of Buddhist cultures among nations. The VBRI leadership consists of the Most Venerable Dr. Thich Minh Chau as rector, the Most Venerable Dic Den So of the vice rector in charge of the Department of Vietnamese Buddhism, the Most Venerable Dr. Dic Thanh Chau at Truc Lam Buddhist Institute in Paris, France, as vice rector in charge of world Buddhism, the Venerable Dr. Dic Ton Tien as vice rector in charge of the Department of Translating and Publishing the Tipitaka, the Buddhist Triple Canon, or the Three Baskets of Buddhist Holy Scriptures, into Vietnamese, the Venerable Dr. Dic Di So as vice rector in charge of the Department of Research and Translation, Mr. Vo Dinh Quang as vice rector in charge of the press. 1. The Department of Vietnamese Buddhism takes charge of the history of Vietnamese Buddhism, the Vietnamese Buddhist literature, culture, architecture, archaeology. 2. The Department of World Buddhism is responsible for Buddhism in the Himalayan region, Southeast Asian region, East Asian region, European region, and American regions. 3. There are many other departments such as the Department of Buddhist Specialties, dealing with Buddhist meditation or mental development, bhavana, psychology, logic, linguistics, and native medicine. 4. The Department of Monastic Education, which takes charge of the training of monks and nuns at basic Buddhist schools and institutes of advanced Buddhist studies. 5. And especially the Department of Translating and Publishing the Tipitaka, the Buddhist Triple Canon, or the Three Baskets of Buddhist Holy Scriptures, into Vietnamese. The great task of translating the Tipitaka from Pali, English, and Chinese into Vietnamese, and compiling and publishing the Vietnamese Tipitaka has been underway since 1991. It will take about 2 decades to carry out the duty. During the last 10 years, many collections of the Pali Triple Canon, such as Digha Nikaya, the collection of the long dialogues, 2 volumes, Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length sayings, 3 volumes, Sauyutta Nikaya, the kindred sayings, 5 volumes, Anguttara Nikaya, the gradual sayings, 5 volumes, and the Khuddaka Nikaya, the collection of minor discourses, 15 volumes, translated from the original Pali Canon into Vietnamese by the Most Venerable Dr. Dic Minh Chau, have been published side by side with many collections translated from the Chinese versions of the Agamas in Sanskrit, such as the Dirghagama, the Madhyamagama, and the Samyuktagama, and the Ekotaragama, by the Most Venerable Dic Dan Du and the Most Venerable Dic Den So. The printing and publication of the Vietnamese Triple Canon marks an important event in the history of Vietnamese Buddhism and the cultural life of our nation as well. In spite of all difficulties in the present situation, both the Vienne Buddhist Academy and the Vienne Buddhist Research Institute make every effort to fulfill the assignment given by the Vienne Buddhist Sangha. Therefore, they welcome all material and spiritual support from any individual or organization, Buddhist and non-Buddhist, at home and abroad. Number 3. Welcome to the VIABS English Speaking Club. Welcome to our English Speaking Club. Dear Sir, Madam, ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters in the Dharma, dear friends in the Dharma, today is the opening day of our English Speaking Club for the first-year students of the Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies. All those who are interested in speaking English are invited to join our club. The purpose of our club is to help you practice speaking English more frequently in everyday dialogues and improve your habit of speaking by making speeches and discussions when possible. Our club meetings open every Saturday afternoon from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. First of all, let's practice speaking about the way to make introductions. Suppose there's someone who comes to visit your institute, class, fellow monks and nuns, monastery, nunnery. Act out the role of a person who makes the introduction between two people. A. Formal introduction, third-party introduction. In a third-party introduction, a third person introduces two main people. Example 1. 1. You. Revered sir, it's my pleasure to introduce you to my fellow monk, Brother Suvana, a first-year student at the Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies. Brother Suvana, this is Venerable Tissa Sakya, abbot of Mahabihar Monastery in Kathmandu, Nepal. 2. Venerable Tissa Sakya, how do you do, Brother Suvana? I'm pleased to see you. 3. Brother Suvana, how do you do, revered sir? It's a great pleasure or honor to meet you. Example 2. 1. You. Professor Fuji, I would like to introduce you to my fellow nun, Sister Kundali, a graduate student from the Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies. Sister Kundali, this is Professor Fuji, rector of a Buddhist research institute in Japan, who is visiting our school. 2. Professor Fuji, how do you do, Sister Kundali? I am pleased to meet you. 3. Sister Kundali, how do you do, Professor Fuji? It's nice meeting you. Example 3. 1. You. Dear Madam, let me introduce you to my fellow nuns, graduate students, who are working at the Vian Buddhist Research Institute. Dear sisters, this is Mrs. Ms. Lee, a pilgrim from Taiwan, South Korea, who is just coming to visit our nunnery. 2. Ms. Lee, how do you do, sisters? I'm glad to join you here. 3. Sisters, how do you do, Ms. Lee? We're glad to meet you too. B. Informal introduction. Self-introduction between two brothers or sisters. 1. Student 1. Please let me introduce myself, and you'll know one more friend. I'm Pandamu, an undergraduate student at the Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies. It's nice to see you here. Who are you? 2. Student 2. I'm Dhammapala, a brother from Bamboo Grove Monastery in Hue, Central Vietnam. I've come here to visit your institute and your city for a few weeks. I'm glad to make your acquaintance. We Buddhist monks in Hue often talk about your institute and the Buddhist Research Institute. Your monastery is wonderful indeed. How long have you lived here? 3. Student 1. About 1 year. I think you'll really like it here. There are a lot of young monks here, and everyone is friendly. I hope you've heard only good things about us. Would you like to join our English-speaking club this Saturday afternoon? 4. Student 2. Oh, what a good idea. Yes, sure. It's nice meeting all of you there. Thank you very much. I'm sure I will come. 5. Student 1. You're very welcome. I hope we'll see each other again at various school activities later. 6. Student 2. I would like to talk some more to you. Can we get together after the Saturday afternoon meeting? I do hope to become a regular member of your club. 7. Student 1. Thank you. Goodbye. See you again. I hope you'll enjoy your stay here. C. Situational dialogues. Questions on the introduction to the Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies. Suppose you are at the library and see a young foreigner approaching you. With a partner or partners, act out the roles and then answer the questions. Learn the dialogues by heart and then dramatize them at a club meeting and at home when possible. Student A. Hello, friend. Nice meeting you here. My name is Dhammapala. Who are you? Student B. Hello. Good to meet you. I'm Kim Wong, a graduate student from South Korea. I've come from Seoul. Student A. Glad to make your acquaintance. Can I help you with something? Student B. Well, I've just come here for the first time to visit your institute. Would you please tell me something about your school? I'd like to talk about you, Buddhist monks and nuns, and your school activities. Student A. My pleasure. Take a seat, Kim. Let's have some tea and we can start talking. Student B. 1. When was this Institute of Advanced Studies founded? Student A. See short introduction and you'll find the answers. Student B. 2. What's the purpose of the institute? 3. How long does a course last? 4 years. 4. What can a student do after graduation? 5. How many students are there in your school? 6. What subjects do you learn during this 4-year course? 7. What do the canonical subjects consist of? 8. What is the original triple canon composed of? 9. Which canonical subject do you like best? Why? 10. Where is the polycanon kept intact in its purity? 11. What are some basic doctrines of the Sarvastiva? 12. What are some basic doctrines of the Mahayana? 13. What are some non-canonical subjects you learned this year? 14. Which subjects do you like best? Why? 15. What languages do you learn at school? Which of them do you like best? Why? 16. Do you practice mental development, bhavana, every day? 17. Why is it necessary for Buddhist monks and nuns to practice mental development? Because it is the way to purify their mind, the only way leading to peace, enlightenment, and true or supreme happiness. 18. What are the main teachings of the Buddha, the Four Noble Truths, and the Noble Eightfold Path? 19. What are the Four Noble Truths? They are the first Noble Truth, suffering, dukkha. The second Noble Truth, the origin of suffering, samudaya. The third Noble Truth, the end, cessation of suffering, nirodha. The fourth Noble Truth, the way leading to the end of suffering, magga. 20. What is the Noble Eightfold Path composed of? 1. Right view or understanding. 2. Right thought. 3. Right speech. 4. Right action. 5. Right livelihood. 6. Right effort. 7. Right mindfulness. 8. Right concentration. 21. What are some of your extracurricular activities? 22. What do you usually do at your English-speaking club? 23. I've learned a lot of interesting things from your talk. Thank you very much. Now it's time for me to go. I hope to see you and your classmates next time to get further information about your school activities. Goodbye. Student A. You're very welcome. Have a good time or a nice trip. Number 4. The Dhammapada verses. Student A. Dear friend, what is the Dhammapada? Student B. It's a collection of 423 sayings of the Buddha in verse. It's one of the most important and interesting books of the Khuddaka Nikaya, minor discourses, and is spread throughout the Buddhist world. Student A. Why is the Dhammapada so widely spread? Student B. Because of its simplicity, purity, as well as its clear and direct teachings. It is a great source of inspiration to Buddhist thinkers. Each verse is a guideline to right living. Student A. It's a wonderful thing I've heard from what you said. Could you do me a favor? Student B. Sure. What's it? Student A. Please teach me some Dhammapada verses so that I can memorize them. Student B. Verse 194. Pleasant is the birth of the Buddha. Pleasant is the preaching of the law. Pleasant is peace and unity in the order. The devotion of those who live in harmony is pleasant. Verse 183. Not to do any evil, to cultivate good, to purify one is mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. Verse 354. The gift of the law excels or surpasses all gifts. The taste of the law, or Dhamma, excels all tastes. The delight in the law excels all delights. The destruction of craving or desires overcomes all sufferings. Student A. About the verses you've recited, I just want to say, well done. I'm really impressed with the loveliness of these stanzas. I'll try to memorize them or learn them by heart and recite them to my fellows. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your Dhamma talk. Student B. Really? I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure you will soon enjoy reading the whole Dhammapada in English. Goodbye. Student A. Goodbye. See you later. Attention. Remember to begin a club meeting with the homage to the Lord in Pali or English and end the meeting with the transference of merits to all. May all these merits be transferred to all. May all living beings achieve the noble path. Number 5. Buddhism and Beauty. Paragraph 1. With the doctrine of anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, and unsubstantiality in the forefront, is it possible to speak of a concept of beauty in Buddhism? Has it not often been suggested that Buddhism is a religion of pessimism, and that with its doctrine of renunciation, Buddhism would have very little to do with notions of beauty? Although these remarks may at first appear to be very convincing, they are in fact far from the truth and are no more than mistaken generalizations. Paragraph 2. Let us first examine the doctrine of the 3 marks of existence: impermanence, suffering, and unsubstantiality. This the Buddha taught his 5 disciples and is recorded in the Antalakkhana Sutta as follows. The body, rupa, O bhikkhus, is not the self, atta. If the body, O bhikkhus, were the self, the body would not be subject to disease, and we should be able to say, let my body be such and such a one. Let my body not be such and such a one. But since this body, O bhikkhus, is not the self, therefore the body is subject to disease, and we are not able to say, let my body be such and such a one. Let my body be such and such a one. And he further said, now what do you think, O bhikkhus? Is the body permanent or perishable? It is perishable, Lord. And that which is perishable, does that cause pain or joy? It causes pain, Lord. And that which is perishable, painful, subject to change, is it possible to regard that in this way? This is mine, this am I, this is myself? That is impossible, Lord. Paragraph 3. In this manner, the Buddha admitted the presence of suffering in the world, and by a method of analysis, he pointed out to his disciples that attachment to things without a correct view as to their true nature is the cause of suffering. Impermanence and change are inherent in the nature of all things. This is their true nature, and this is the correct view. And as long as we are at variance with it, we are bound to run into conflicts. We cannot alter or control the nature of things. The result is, hope deferred maketh the heart sick. The only solution lies in correcting our own point of view. Paragraph 4. The Buddha has declared that the thirst for things begets sorrow. Tanhaya jayati soko. When we like persons or things, we wish that they belonged to us and were with us forever. We do not stop to think about their true nature, or in our great enthusiasm refuse to think about their true nature. We expect them to survive time, but time devours everything. Kalo gasati butunai. Youth must yield to old age, and the freshness of the morning dew disappears before the rising sun. Both are expression of the natural law of change. Paragraph 5. When the Buddha lay on his deathbed at Kusinara, the Venerable Ananda, who had not yet gained true insight and become an arahant, was unable to bear the grief at the death of his master. So the Buddha, in his admonition to the weeping Ananda, said, "Grieve not, O Ananda, lament not. Have I not already told you that from all good things we love and cherish, we would be separated, sooner or later, that they would change their nature and perish? How then can the Tathagata survive? That is not possible." Paragraph 6. This is the philosophy which underlies the doctrine of the 3 marks of existence, or the Buddhist view of life and the world. All Buddhist values are based on this. The Buddha expected of his disciples, both the laity and the clergy, good conduct and good behavior, and decent standards of living in every way. He never lost sight of the fact that they had a part to play in both religion and society. With him, plain living did not amount to degenerate human existence. In the Dhammasatiya Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, he clearly expressed what he thought of ascetic life as it was practiced in India at the time. There I see recluses and Brahmins become emaciated and lean, discolored and looking very pale. The veins have become visible all over their body. People will not be delighted to see them, I fear. In the Pali original of this, there is a phrase which is of interest to us. Na kukam banhati janasa dasanaya. This means that they do not catch the eye of the onlooker. Here we have one definite notion of beauty. An object of beauty is something which we are pleased to see. Hence, we get the term pasadika, pleasant or pleasing, used over and over again with reference to the dress and demeanor of the Buddhist monk. Of personal cleanliness, decency, and decorum, the Buddha spoke in praise, not only for their own sake, but also because of their social implications. Paragraph 7. Among the regulations governing the monastic life in Buddhism, there are many instructions which bear testimony to this. Healthy living has been the sine qua non of Buddhism. Arogya parama labha, freedom from disease, the Buddhism said, is the greatest asset. This attitude also results in creating an environment which is aesthetically pleasing. And the following passage from the Mahavagga of the Vijnana Pitaka clearly illustrates that the simple life which the Buddha advocated was not without standards. If there are cobwebs in the vihara, the place of residence, let him remove them as soon as he sees them. Let him wipe off the casements and the corners of the room. If a wall which is coated with red chalk is dirty, let him moisten the mop, wring it out, and scour the wall. If the floor is coated black and is dirty, let him sprinkle it with water and scrub it in order that the vihara may not become dusty. Let him heap up the sweepings and cast them aside. Let him bask the carpet in the sun, clean it, dust it, take it back, and spread it out as it was spread before. Paragraph 8. Thus we see that Buddha was no ascetic who attempted to elevate his mind by resorting to forms of conduct which are repulsive and debasing. But beauty, the Buddha maintained, if one does not understand the true nature of the objects of beauty, may lead to grief and disappointment. It distorts values and upsets the standards of judgment. When beauty is limited to persons and things, greed and pride are the lot of those who possess them. If such things are not common and are not easily obtained, a man may be called upon to engage himself in eternal struggle to safeguard his exclusive possessions. On the other hand, those who have set unlimited values on the coveted objects of beauty, but are not fortunate enough to possess them, will need great strength and courage to resist their feelings of jealousy and enmity towards those who possess them. Paragraph 9. Here we are reminded of the story of the Venerable Paka in the Therigatha. One day, going to the village for alms, he sat down beneath a tree. Then a kite, seizing some flesh, flew up into the sky. Him many kites attacked, making him drop the meat. Another kite grabbed the fallen flesh and was plundered by another. And the bhikkhu thought, just like that meat are worldly desires, common to all, full of pain and woe. And reflecting hereon, and how they were impermanent and so on, he carried out his mission, sat down for his afternoon rest, and expanding insight, won arahantship. Paragraph 10. The Buddhist does not avoid objects of beauty, nor does he run away from them. He only refrains from making them the basis for strong and individual likes and dislikes. Whatever there is in the world, pleasant and lovable, we are attached to them, and we develop a dislike towards their opposites. Placed in this philosophical setting, the Buddhist recognizes beauty where the senses can perceive it. But in beauty, he also sees his own change and destruction. He remembers what the Buddha said with regard to all component things, that they come into being, undergo change, and are destroyed. Therefore, the wise man acquires a great depth of vision. His admiration is not colored by a greed for acquisition and possession. Paragraph 11. The disciples of the Buddha understood this and proved it in their own lives. The Venerable Sabbaka, who taking from the Buddha an exercise for spiritual culture, went to the Langari Vihara on the banks of Ajakarini. There is beauty all around him, and the peace of the place seems to have satisfied him so much that after his enlightenment he decided to make it his permanent abode. His heart filled with joy as he described the beauty of the place, but note what a remarkable sense of detachment yet he displays. When I see the crane, her clear bright wings, outstretched in fear to flee the black storm cloud, a shelter seeking, to safe shelter borne, then doth the river Ajakarani give joy to me, who doth not love to see on either bank clustered rose apple trees in fairy array, behind the great cave of my hermitage, or hear the soft croak of the frogs, well rid of their undying mortal foes, proclaim, not from the mountain streams is it time today to flit. Safe is the Ajakarani, she brings us luck. Here is it good to be. In the enjoyment of beauty, the Venerable Sabbaka is not agitated. What needs ruffle him and disturb his peace? There is nothing that he is in danger of losing, and nothing that he needs jealously guard. Paragraph 12. Herein the mind is freed from pettiness and strife, and man finds contentment and rest. The Venerable Kassapa the Great reiterates the same with great conviction when he says, those upland glades delightful to the soul, where the kareri spreads its wildering wreaths, where sound the trumpet calls of elephants, those are the braes wherein my soul delights, those rocky heights with hue of dark blue clouds, where lies in bosom many a shining tarn, of crystal clear, cool waters, and where slopes the herds of Indra covered and bedeck. Here is enough for me, who fain would dwell in meditation wrapped, mindful, intense. Paragraph 13. And as we have already stated earlier, the Buddhist does not build a wall around himself to shut out the world of sense experience. He remains within it. Does not the Venerable Kaludayi, who describes the beauty of the season, speak like a poet or an artist? Now crimson glow the trees, dear Lord, and cast their ancient foliage in quest of fruit. Like crests of flame they shine irradiant, and rich in hope. Great hero is the hour. Verdure and blossom time in every tree, wherever we look, delightful to the eye, and every quarter breathing fragrant airs, while petals falling, yearning comes for fruit. Paragraph 14. In him, it is not a mere passive eye that only records which is at work, but also a heart that responds and reacts. But he does so with understanding and judgment. And this philosophical attitude of Buddhism to beauty may be best summed up in the following words of the Japanese poet who sang, "On Mount Yoshino, each returning year, how beautiful the cherry blossoms gay. Split the tree open wide and then draw near. Tell me where the flower is now, I pray." This is the philosophy of change and continuity.